The son, he doesn't become an heir at a specific age, we see, but there is an appointed time that the father has to decide. Now, that mindset back then, it would have naturally caused the father to prepare his son for whatever he was going to inherit. Okay? Depending on what that father wanted to turn over to his son, everything he did in raising that son would be the mindset, one of these days, he's going to be running this farm, or one of these days, he's going to be running this business. He's going to be doing all these things with a clear goal in mind, with a target in mind, knowing I've got to try to instill certain character traits in my son. I got to get him ready for these things. That would have been the mindset back then. But here's the thing with us today. What are we preparing our sons for? What are we doing when it comes to these young men that are home? What are we preparing them for? When you're raising your kids, the things you do in their life, whatever it is, what are you preparing them for? You need to think about that. What kind of job? You need to figure out where their interests are. You need to find out what kind of job they might want to have. You need to train them to be a hard worker. If you've got a smart kid, use that so he can get a job for smart people and make a lot of money where he doesn't have to work real hard. If you got a dumb kid, train him how to work really, really hard. Because you know what? In our country today, thankfully, you can be an idiot, and if you're a hard worker, you'll do just fine. I've never been the smartest person in the room, but at the same time, my dad taught me to be a hard worker, and I've always been able to survive and pay my bills. Now, I've had to work really hard to do it sometimes. And let me tell you, I've worked many jobs where it's like, I wish I'd have studied a little harder in school. I wish I'd have been a little smarter. But either way, as a father, you know your child, and you better prepare him for something. You better get him ready for something. That needs to be your mindset. And just forgotten facts about young men is, one, they need guidance. They need guidance. They have not lived life yet, and it is your job to prepare them for what's to come. They don't know what they're up against when it comes to getting a job, being out in the world. They don't know what's out there. I've had to help both my boys fill out W-4s, and they're like, Dad, what do I even do with this? They have no idea. I remember when I first got a job at the distribution center in Spring Valley, they gave me this thing, to fill out to do the 401k. I'm like, what's a 401k? I didn't know what it was. And it had all these options on there. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And I was too embarrassed to ask my dad about it because, I was an adult. I just got married. I wanted to look independent. So we talked to this guy that we knew was involved in investing and everything. I was going to have him help me. He's like, yeah, I'll help you. So we invited him over for dinner. He came over to dinner. And you know what that guy did? He signed me up for a whole life insurance policy. He said, this is way better than your 401k. It's like, okay. I signed up for that whole life insurance policy, not having any idea what whole life insurance was. He told me it was a good way to save for retirement. And I remember I told my dad about it, and he was like, you did what? And I was just like, he's like, can you get out of it? I'm like, he said, I've got 30 days to change my mind. He's like, call him and change your mind. You do not want to do that. And I'm like, and he did, and he kind of explained to me why, and I didn't get it. Later, I read a book, read Dave Ramsey's book, the little plug there, and then I learned whole life policies are stupid. And I was just like, but, I had no idea. I wasn't prepared for these things. I had no idea when it came to, just paying bills, when it came to, budgeting. I didn't know about any of that stuff. And unfortunately, I wasn't probably as prepared as I should have been for some of those things. But thankfully, the one thing my dad did do was instill character, teach me to work hard, and you pay your bills on time.